got a lot of people that ask me, where you at? How you doing? How's your world? My world's pretty decent right now. It's pretty decent. The new job is just stellar. I have no complaints at all. On a Monday to Friday, 7 to 3-ish job, maybe a little before, a little after, depending on what I feel like doing. But I've picked up a couple projects. This one being one of them. We're not even going to get what's under the trailer. We're going to get to that on a completely another video. But what we're going to talk about today is this 2007 Harley Dyna Street Bob, an FXDB, my little dirty bastard here, and this 75 VW Bug. I was going to call it a bus. VW Bug. That yellow Bug's not mine. That's actually a good friend of mine's. I'm doing some work on it for her. It has, well, we'll talk about that one first, and then we'll get back to this one. This one has a delightful patina to it. 75, fuel injected. I think that's if I'm not mistaken, 75 was the first year they put fuel injection in the Type 1s. I used to have a 70 Squareback that was fuel injected. And it's got, this is the original paint. No joke, original paint, if you can't tell. But it has a bunch of electrical gremlins. It had a significant vacuum leak, which I fixed and I got it running, but it has a lot of electrical gremlins that I'm going to fix. I'm going to sort through. I don't know if anybody will find this interesting. They did some kind of cobbled together crap there. That's the control box back there, and there's a relay box, and you see one of the wires grounded out and got smoked, so I ran a jumper in there and I got the fuel injection to work again. Got this thing running, and I'm going to just go through this from the firewall back and figure out what electrical gremlins are here. Structurally, it's a good rig. Other than the surface rust, it's a delightful little car to drive now that I've got the FI box jumped. And we'll get into this. Maybe I'll take some videos later of this if you guys want to see it. Got the grasses cut today, front and back. I went over to my mom's, took care of her lawns. Yeah, the gophers have just been going crazy, but it's fine. They are what they are. But here is an 07 Dyna, an FXDB. And I just brought this home 2 weeks ago. I was doing a bunch of work on this thing over the last month at my friend's house. He has several other motorcycles there. He was not interested in being filmed or photographized. So out of respect for his space, I let it be. And I figured once I brought it home, I'd make a video of it. But I haven't done a lot of videos on it, but here we are. This is a Bug. I've been out riding it, that's for darn sure. This has been a fun project, and I'll show you what it looked like when we first brought it home. My buddy picked it up from, excuse me, and I'll insert some footage of what it's like when we first brought it home. My buddy was at a dealer auction and picked this up. It does hold a salvage title because it was skipped down the side of it, and pretty minor. Nothing touched the frame. It's got a scrape there. It has a scrape up here. It didn't have these bars on it at the time. It had the big original Harley bars, but it got scuffed up here when it looks like the forks got kind of jammed back. There was a big dent in the tank, which you've seen probably at this point. I think the video's played long enough that you've seen the dent in the front right side of the tank. And generally speaking, that's it. There's not a and it probably mashed up the exhaust. Oh yeah, and it broke off, or somehow this one's missing. I'm assuming it damaged this passenger peg. This used to have a solo seat, and I went on the old search for I think these are called 1-ups. I'm not that familiar with the newer Harleys. If you remember, I had a 58 Harley that I sold about 1.5 years ago. That basket case had to go. This one's a runner. It runs. He's got the cover there says Screaming Eagle. I believe there was a lot of engine work done to this, judging by how it runs and how fast it is. And I've ridden on stock Dynas, fuel-injected Dynas of this vintage, and this is way different. I have no idea what was done to it. Like I said, it was insurance salvage for that little bit of damage, and we brought it home. So after seeing that Screaming Eagle cover, I pulled the spark plugs and shoved a bore scope down there. And those are not stock pistons. It's a high compression engine. It has domed pistons, not the flat tops. And I can't quite see the serial numbers that are etched into the top. When I've got more time and desire, I'm not going to pull the engine apart. It runs great, doesn't have a leak on it. You can see where my boot melted on this. I need to get heat shields, but anyway, when I have more time or desire, I'm going to see if I can put a dauber in there and kind of clean up the top of the piston so I can read the numbers and see what size they put in here. It doesn't have stock cams, I do know that for sure. I did purchase an aftermarket oil-filled oil pressure gauge that's going to set right here, because this thing doesn't have anything on it. But what did we do? We got it back to my buddy's house, and he's got so many Harley parts. Let me back this up here, back the train up. He needs work done to his house, and he has more parts than he does money right now. And I had even remotely showed interest, and he's got 3 other Harleys, really nice newer bikes. And he's like, hey, if I build you a bike, is that worth your trouble to do the work on the house? And he's got some siding work, some dry rot that needs to be replaced to basically get his house ready for paint. He's got some siding and a little bit of stucco work that needs to be done. And I said, well, you know, I'm always up one for barter. So we got it to the house, and what did we change? And again, it didn't have this. So he had this quarter fairing laying around, and if you see from the video, it was rattle can flat black. He had this, he had the T-bars. We didn't even have to extend the controls. We put these T-bars in. I was not sure about these things. I've never ridden anything with T-bars, but I do like the way they set. It's just below my shoulders height, and they're actually quite comfortable. So we stripped the bike, sent the tin out for paint. The guy did the body work, delightful job here. There was a little crease in the front fender. He fixed that. We got this painted, put handlebars on it. He had a Thunder header laying around. Unfortunately, the Thunder header does not have heat shields on it, which I need to buy. You can see the first time he rode it, he burned his pants right here. And then when I started riding it, I put my foot here and that burned. But that's fine. I'm going to get the heat shield, the heat shield, the heat shield. But the Thunder header came with it. We put some 13.5-inch progressive suspension shocks. Had factory shocks, and I couldn't. It was too low for me. So this raised it up 1.5 inches, and it's delightful. Brand new tires. These rims are off of 12, I think, 2012 Dyna. So they didn't fit. The front one was an easy retro. These are called Switchblade. Switchblade. Again, I'm learning all this newer Harley stuff, but and this is just paint. It's not powder coated, and it's fine. I like things with a little bit of character and use out of them. The front spacers, everything fit in the front perfectly. This front wheel retroed on beautifully. We just had to change the bearings in it, and he's got the Harley specific bearing puller and presser, so that was easy. The back one, I had to do a little bit of time on the lathe to get these spacers cut. We used OEM spacers that came with the old spoked wheels. These had, if you saw the picture, they had spoked wheels. But I was able to shave this down. I think it's 7 or 8 millimeters. And then this one in here is 48 millimeters. I'll have to check. Yeah, they do sell spacer kits for it, but we were building this on a reasonable budget, and I have a lathe, so it makes the belt track perfectly. It centers it perfectly in the swing arm. So I wish the sun was out. It's a little overcast, but it is. This is Lexus Pearl White, and I'll interject some photos of it at dusk when you can really see kind of that purplish hue. But it has a metallic on it that's absolutely beautiful. 33,000 mile bike. I put not that much. I've only put 127 miles on it since we got it together. 32,000 miles. And I have no reason to believe that that's not correct. It doesn't really matter. You buy it at auction, you get what you get. But the seat's lovely. I do have foot pegs for it. I'll show you what I do have. So my project for today is I'm going to put some passenger pegs on this thing. I picked up a... okay. And for now, I'm going to use some factory Harley pegs that I had in stock. I don't know why I have these, but they'll work. I don't care for these. They're kind of janky. But I haven't decided quite what I want. My buddy's got these motocross, these MX style pegs that are bigger than this, and they've got our foot pegs that have these spikes in them kind of thing. but I haven't decided yet. But for the interim, I'm going to use these Harley ones for the passenger. And then I went to Harley and I picked up a new Bracoot to replace the one that's missing. I have bolts in inventory. This little guy goes right here. The lovely. It's the wrinkle finish, just like everything else. And then I need to go on the lathe and turn a new pin. This is the pin from the other side, but I'm going to make a stainless steel pin for this guy here. And yeah. Okay, look. Before you pick up your keyboard and you start making comments that, you know, you can go to Harley and for $2.95 you can buy a new pin. Well, I can, but I didn't because I forgot about it at the time, truth be told. And secondly, I don't feel like driving all the way out there again or riding out there. And I could make this on my lathe in about 15 minutes. And if you don't think it's more fun to make something on a lathe than just going to a store and buying it, then, well, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, but that's not me. And besides, easy jobs like this get me time on the lathe to learn things on the lathe. And then when it comes time for more complicated milling jobs or lathing jobs, I already got the experience because I figured out all my dimensions and feeds and everything on the easy stuff. So come on, put your keyboard down, just relax, enjoy the video. It already has a battery tender pigtail on it. I don't know, that's all. I'm just going to touch this up with a little black paint. I don't look for perfection, and I certainly don't want something that I have to spit shine. Way too much catalog chrome, you know, Harley posers out there these days that spend more time polishing their chrome than riding their bike. And that ain't me. This one's going to be covered in stuff like this. You know, yeah, this job, ooh, the sun's out now. Yeah, this paint job is amazing. I'm going to ride this thing. I am not going to fear riding this in any kind of weather. I never have in the past. Certainly not going to start doing it now. So let's, yeah, it's a good runner though. Golly, it's a lot of fun. So anyway, that's where we're at. If anything exciting comes up, I do need a new Jesus clip for this one. This one's a bit stretched. But if anything interesting comes up, I'll bring you back. But other than that, that's what I'm doing today. Like I said, chores are done. I'm going to fit the foot peg on this, and then when that's done, lathe one of these up, go grab me some lunch. When I get back from lunch, I'm going to work on the little V-dub, and that'll be my Saturday. Just a quiet Saturday by myself with the tunes playing. All right. Alright, here we are. We're going to call this one done, and we're going to move on to the little yellow bug. I did rub the two bugs out of the paint and the windscreen there on the quarter fairing I'll go put some more on there. Not a big deal. We've got the passenger pegs installed. Stainless steel hardware, because that's what I had in stock. Yeah, it's not the cap head Allen like the other ones, but they'll be fine. If that's your concern, then you need to go find another bike to ride on. Anyway, so that's where that is. So in the event somebody wants to go for a ride on this thing, I can do that. I can do that just in case, because you never know. And there's the pin that I made. Never know. Fits perfect. All right, gotta go, gotta run. See ya.